Hobby tools out of here. That's not a hobby tool. This had some toenail clippers hanging out. I didn't even notice those were there. I just have been so burnt after the games. This isn't a post-battle report. This is me talking about Monster Hunter. I was watching people criticize Monster Hunter today because I know that you're out there and I have answers for your criticism. I think criticism is important. And I want to know what people that hated the game were saying. And a lot of them I have answers for. And we'll start off with criticism 1. I'm going to be building a barricade here. Monster Hunter has no story. I mean, you're right and you're wrong at the same time. It has basically no story at all. There's a story there. I've never cared about any of the stories at all. Not ever once. That's, you know, not why I play most games. It's not like this is Pillars of Eternity, where I'm playing it for the story. This is Monster Hunter. I'm here to grease whack giant monsters and turn their corpses into stuff. And you might say you do that too much to get things, and we'll get to that in a second too. The story is never really, for me, the draw, but it's there. There's always a story, and you, believe it or not, can get to the end of the story, and you can do it by yourself. I've done it a lot. I've done it with 3 and 4. But the thing is, you gotta kill some elder dragons by yourself. And I think that's why they did the story the way they did in 4, is because whacking these giant fuck-off elder dragons is hard. But I don't... Hard, some people say it's impossible, and that's the thing. These people say that you can't do the story, other people say you can't do the story that, even if there is one, because you can't kill elder dragons by yourself. Again, sir, you are wrong. You don't need a group. Like I said, I've grease-whacked the whole game by myself. You just have to be willing. You have to be ready, willing, and able. That's the thing about Monster Hunter. It's about skill. You don't need to farm all day for mats A through X. You could just you could rush the storyline. In as far as my understanding, you could rush the storyline and complete the game. I don't do that. I run a completionist game where I do every quest at every level. No matter what. This isn't something that this isn't up for debate. I just do every quest at every level. That's me, though. That gets me tons of stuff. That's why I do it. I also enjoy the game. And that's just me, though. And we'll get into the further element of you can't complete the story because you have to farm too much to farm all this gear. No! You can just do story quests. And the reason why they have you fight the same monster a few times in the story quests is so that you can make armor out of the corpses and have gear. That you don't really even need to make armor. And that's the thing. They say, ooh, whoop, whoop, armor. Wrong. You don't even need armor in Monster Hunter. The thing you're missing, my friend, is this is all about skill. You don't even need to wear armor. You do need a weapon that can occasionally pierce their body in the right part. So you do need to understand the weaknesses of the monster and exploit them, or just have something that can generally pierce the monster's skin. Myself, I go with option B, and I also farm particular sets. And this will get to an explanation of why you don't exactly even need gear. I use, in Monster Hunter 4, I use Nursilla Mail. I'm not as far in Monster Hunter 4 as I was in Monster Hunter 3. Last quest I remember doing was you fought those two giant. Well, usually they're a boss. You fight one at a time. The guys with that are like the giant Triceratops dragons, right? And there's two of them, and they're the black version. That's the last one I remember because it was kind of a pain in my ass a little bit. You know, I got it done, and I just went back on the on the murder rampage after that. It was just destroying everything. But that's not the point. The point is I just didn't get that far in Monster Hunter 4, mostly because I lost the power cable to my 3DS. I found it again, but it's hard to play a game on a 3DS when you can't charge your 3DS. Sucked. I don't have a PS. Oh, it's important to say I haven't played Monster Hunter World. I don't have a PS4. This would be the only game that I've even slightly been interested in on the PS4 is Monster Hunter World. So that speaks for itself, I guess. This is a PlayStation 4 community reaction that we're getting where people are saying the combat is slow and unresponsive. And I find that interesting because then they give a game like Black Desert Online's combat isn't slow and unresponsive. And I found Black Desert's combat to be AIDS. It was cancer. Black Desert's combat was so fucking linear, unresponsive. By unresponsive, I mean in between frames and animations, I would try to start chaining my next combo, but the game's so shitty and fucking laggy and such a piece of shit that it takes so fucking long for the fucking servers to fucking understand what the fuck I was inputting that I've already decided that it's already better for me to switch to a different combo. But that's the thing is, I think these people are used to playing on games that are, you know, not exactly the fastest response times. And, like, Black Desert was, in my mind, a laggy piece of shit that was not worth playing. A lot of people are like, oh, it's so great, the combat's so immersive. I did not find the combat immersive at all. I find Monster Hunter combat immersive. You might say it's clunky. By clunky, you mean it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't force you down alleys and be like, press X to combo in the face. It just thinks you're going to know this. You know why? Because to be a Monster Hunter for a while, you just had to know shit. You just had to know shit, dude. And none of this wasn't possible. It's just that it was made for a different kind of gamer. It was made for a gamer like me, the guy who played Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, who went through wacky dungeons with like 8 characters, all optimized. It was made for a power gamer. It's made for the dude that hears that there's this fucking psycho-ass game that's super hard, and you have to do all this like crazy research, or do what I do and just be superlative at combat. And it's not easy. It's not for everybody. It's a hard-ass game. And a lot of people can't, like, literally cannot play it. Because it's not, it wasn't for them. And it's not like the not for them is like, yo, these people. And it's just like, this game, I like things that are so hard that it's like, no, a lot of people fail at this. And that's what draws, isn't that what makes games epic in the first place? Where, like, your heroes going to the forest of death, where they're like, the last 1,000 people that have gone there have died. That's the whole point of games, right? That's the, like, somebody was talking about Destiny. Isn't the point of Destiny to go fight that giant boss that nobody could stop? So, do you understand the draw of Monster Hunter when I hear, this game's fucking impossible? Like, people be like, oh, I found that game to be nearly impossible. Like, I just decided, fuck it. Can you understand that draw when I hear a challenge? I'm like, oh, it's that kind of hard? Holy shit. You've talked me into it. And I'm not saying like, no plebeians. No, it's just this game doesn't. When you complain about a game like not having a story, needing too much gear checks, or doing this, that, and the other thing, make sure first you're capable enough of playing the game to make that commentary. Because I've beaten the highest ranked monsters in the game, and I can tell you, the only thing you really need is skill. That's it. To beat monsters, you need to be good. End of story. There's nothing else you need. You need to be good at beating monsters in Monster Hunter. You say the bosses take too long. Wrong. You take too long at killing bosses. How the fuck are you gonna kill a boss that takes you 50 minutes in 50 minutes when there's 2 of them? The answer is you don't take 50 minutes to kill that boss. You get better. That is it. And I'm not trying to sound like, woo woo woo. No, that's just how Monster Hunter works. There's challenges placed before you, and either you achieve them or you don't. And you progress or you don't. At least that's the way I've viewed it. And that's why I like the challenge. And that's why I think a lot of these complaints about Monster Hunter are erroneous. There is a story. There's been a story in every one of them. They've tried to tell me about it extensively. I've never given a shit. Like I don't care about the story in Warframe. Like I don't care about the story in every game I play except for Pillars lately. Because Pillars of Eternity has a really fascinating story. There's a few that have good stories. And a few that are, most game stories are Snorefest, I think is what they're called. People get easily cloyed by stupid things like, but he's gonna get the super power MacGuffin gauntlet. I don't give a shit. You can't get me with a MacGuffin plot. What's a MacGuffin plot? Power gauntlets, the stones of death, the laser beam from space that blows up everybody's heads. That's the MacGuffin. We gotta stop the bad guy from getting the super weapon. MacGuffin plot. You can't sell me on any MacGuffin plots. And that's the thing, is you gotta, like, Monster Hunter didn't sell me on the story. I've never cared one tiddlywink about anything the story's ever had to say to me. I've never even paid attention to any of it. My friend's like, I think it's cool. I've literally skipped the whole thing. I tried to read it once, and they were like, Super Dragon! What was it? Alright, shut up. I gave the story a chance at both of them. I got like a 3 or 5 square dialogues in, and I was like, done. No. Get out of here. But that's it. That's the thing, is I'm not here to hear about the story in Monster Hunter. I'm here to hunt monsters. And you may say you need to farm these items 10 gazillion times. You only really need to farm boss items you want. And this is really it. You only really need to farm bosses you want for items. People will tell you this is or that's the best thing. I wore this armor called Nursilla armor forever. And Nursilla armor isn't exactly the best armor. Especially where I was at in Monster Hunter 4. Like, I wore Nursilla armor all the way up until I got to Advanced Nursilla. Like, my armor was basically pointless by the time I was wearing it. My other friend, who's also a Monster Hunter of similar rank, who's done all the high rank missions in Monster Hunter, at least one Monster Hunter game. I don't know if I did all the high rank missions in Monster Hunter 3. I just couldn't figure out how to get any more missions. They just stopped giving me new ones. And I was like, alright, cool, whatever, man. Like, I just killed everything, and then they're like, we don't have anything else. Alright. Sounds good. I might have missed something. I think there's something further from what I went. It's also a hazy memory. Because it was a long time ago. And a severe concussion ago, too. And that's the thing. Monster Hunter isn't like eventually you don't really remember all the monsters you hunted. Yeah, I remember hunting like a few monsters like Thornburrows and like Lagarcus and like a few things, but the ones I remember most you probably might fight in Monster Hunter World. What's his name? I can't ever remember his name. The guy with the poundy fist that has the exploding slime. I hunt the shit out of that guy. That's my favorite weapon set. I forget his names. Poundy McFist, Mr. Fister, Mr. Fisto, Lord Fist. That's definitely not his name. None of those are his name. But I can't remember the monster's name. And, yeah. He's actually one of my favorite monsters to hunt. And I fought him a bunch. But that's only because I wanted the gear. And that's the thing, is I fought Nerscylla so many times because I wanted to wear Nerscylla armor. My buddy wore... I never actually got to what my buddy wore. My buddy wore Iodrome armor, which is raptor armor. He wore a jumped up lizard skin. Whatever, I don't know what jumped up lizard is the boss. Whatever the first boss they give you that it is essentially just a large lizard. That's what my friend wore while we were doing advanced Monster Hunter quests. His armor was even more worthless than mine, and mine was completely worthless. I don't even know if it might have mitigated like 8% or 2% of damage. I don't think it even did that much at the point I was at, but I didn't care because it wasn't there to mitigate armor for me because I was trying not to get hit in the first place. And that's the point, is Monster Hunter is not about the gear you bring. It wasn't about the fact that I had old-ass Nerscylla armor. It wasn't about the fact that I had an old-ass fucking bug, I forget the new bug polearm thing in Monster Hunter 4. Bug Spear? The Bug Spear thing. That's what I played. It's fucking fun. I really like it. I really enjoy that thing. It is a great weapon. People say it's complex. I thought it was easy, but that speaks to the difference between, first time people who like, holy shit, gotta focus on this monster and my weapon, where I was just like, I picked the weapon at the beginning and I had a whole game to figure out how to shit on monsters with my weapon. And so it wasn't about the fact that my weapon and my gear was old and I should have farmed for more way before I ever got more. It's the fact that I was just good enough at killing monsters that none of that was a factor. Ever. It did not matter. And that's the thing about Monster Hunter. If you're good, all those complaints, you'll never see the end of the story. Oh, you will. If you're good enough. You have to farm too much? Nah. If you want it. If you're not trying to, get to, just a percentile upgrade for, to fight the next boss. I need a percent more DR. If you're good enough, you don't need to. There's no, I don't even remember the other complaint I was hearing a lot. No story, farm too much. Oh yeah, you can't kill any of the Elder Dragons by yourself. No. I was taking on all sorts of weird shit. Like I said, you just gotta learn how, man. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. Shit, you think it was easy for me? Please. This game just doesn't hold your hand. A lot of games hold your hand. A lot of games, I've been playing Shadow of Mordor because I don't have internet connected to my gaming computer, and I've, almost beaten Shadow of Mordor when I bought it, and I, almost beat it in, a couple days, and I was, one quest out. And so now I'm just, doing, more of a completionist thing. Just to, see more of the game. And that game holds the shit out of your hand. Monster Hunter doesn't hold your hand like that. Monster Hunter is a fairly difficult enterprise, and I think it's supposed to be a fairly difficult enterprise. You're not supposed to be able to just, you know, I guess, press A bunch and whack the monster. And, you know, some people say, oh, but I shoot the bow at range. Yeah, you're doing a multiplayer quest with a bow gun. Try doing a bow gun solo. Tell me what happens then. I can't kill the monsters solo. They're too hot. Your fault. I beat that game solo. I beat that game by myself. You can too. You just have to get out of your Destiny fucking League of Legends fucking Black Desert fucking thinking fucking Dark Souls is a hard ass game mindset, man. That's where you gotta leave that mindset of like putting these limiters on yourself of this modern gaming era. I know a lot of you are newer to gaming than you didn't see the first Call of Duty. You don't remember the first Medal of Honor. And so like you're not from the same era of gaming I'm from. But there's games out there that are way harder than Dark Souls. When I played Demon Souls, the first Dark Souls, I didn't really even, like, it took me a little bit to understand, like, controls and, like, what does this what button do? I go, what? And that was the longest part of me picking up the game. This is me figuring out what the fucking controller did while I was drunk. Like, really inebriated, like, just inebriated, plastered drunk, like, whoa, how's that controller? And I'd drop it, like, just hammered. That was the hardest part. So, I'm not talking shit, it's just, there's a lot of people like me, man, out there who, like, my buddy who I play with, he beat the shit out of he stopped playing Demon Souls because he's like, it's easy, man, it's not the same game. So, when you think about a game and you say it's impossible to do task A, B, C, X, D, or J, realize that there's people that this is all possible for, and it's actually a fairly large base that can do these things. Because it's, you know, I don't know how many people per town, but I know a couple guys. They aren't exactly my homeboys. One of them definitely isn't my homeboy. But they can hunt monsters, and they can do it at a pretty decently high rank. But, you know, you have to be... They don't really... like, a lot of those guys don't really even fucking talk to people about Monster Hunter unless they know you're a high-ranked Monster Hunter. Like, this one guy only played Monster Hunter with me because I was friends with his cousin. Like, his cousin that he grew up with, like he was a brother. They grew up in the same house kind of deal. Since they were like kids kind of deal. And yeah. So that was the deal. And, you know, he was kind of extremely dismissive of me. Then we met again and I talked to him about hunting monsters and he was like, do you want to hunt maybe a little bit? And I was like, fuck no, not with you, dude. Not with you, Holmes. It's not like... Maybe if he had acted differently towards me on my first hunt instead of being a dick, I would have tried to hunt with him again. We were said, you know, he was one of those people that until he didn't respect me as a starting player, and you know, you got to be welcoming to noobs. Hey guys, I hope you enjoy your time in Monster Hunter. Really, and this isn't like me saying like fuck you. This is me giving you like, I've been to the end of multiple games. Like, to do this, I've had to do shit that people say you have to get a group together to do, and I've done it on my own. And I'm not the only motherfucker. There's things you can do. You can kill these Elder Dragons by yourself. You can reach endgame by yourself. You don't have to whack these monsters 10 bazillion times. Unless you want to get the gear perfected. You don't need to farm the corpse off every monster. Eventually you will, because you're gonna need to do some weird shit to kill monsters in time. But don't even worry about that right now. Don't even, that's like worrying about becoming a Navy SEAL when you're in your first day at boot camp where you're trying to do some pull-ups. That's like me worrying about becoming a Navy SEAL when I was doing pull-ups over at the fucking fair where I got my U.S. Army t-shirt. I wasn't worried about it because I knew there was this far separation between me doing, like, this guy, I was walking by this booth and I was, like, all jacked because I was working out at the time. And this guy's like, "Hey, man, how many pull-ups can you do, man?" And, like, because it was, like, this really jacked Army guy. And he wasn't black. He was actually this just big old Southern dude. I know maybe that sounded like a black guy. You know. Some people could have done that. That's racist. I beat you to the punch and it was a Southern guy. That was my impression of a Southern dude. Just a tool. Not really a tool. He's just like, he's one of those guys that sees another jacked guy and he gets all weirded out and he's like, "Hey, how jacked are you?" "I'm pretty jacked." So he's like, "Hey, man, you wanna, do pull-ups, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, come on, do pull-ups." And I got a t-shirt because he was like, "Man, there's a lot of pull-ups." And then they called me for a long time until told them I smoked like I smoked tons of weed and I'm not interested. I'm like, I get super high before I work out. And they're like, "Well, you're in pretty good shape." I was like, "Thanks, man. Don't get shot." I didn't say that. I was just like, "Hey, thanks for serving our country." I hung up, What else am I fucking going to say? Fuck you? No. Baby, no, I don't even believe in none of that shit. I just told him, hey, thanks, thanks for the interest and thanks for your, doing what you do. I'm gonna go back to taking bong hits and shit. And that's the thing is, when I was doing those pull-ups, I was completely separated from going anywhere beyond maybe doing pull-ups. I wasn't even expecting a t-shirt. So when you're getting into Monster Hunter, don't expect to progress to be this endgame giant like every game before this has told you that, given a few days, you're going to be the endgame giant. Don't expect that in Monster Hunter. You're not, you might not be the Navy SEAL type of motherfucker up in this game. You're not going to end up as the fucking Dragonborn. You're not going to go run around Fusordon motherfuckers unless you want to. Unless you decide this is the path for me. And then if you do, you could probably do it. But it's going to take effort. But it's a mistake to think that you are, it's a mistake to think that you're going to be running around being the Dragonborn until you're up in that temple talking to those old dudes, right? So wait until you get, further into the Monster Hunter story before you really start tripping about farming too much gear. Before you really start tripping about, fucking, whoa, what about this, what about that? Dude, just whatever people are telling you, like, you gotta get this, you gotta get that, no, they're wrong. Just worry about getting better at fighting monsters, because that's the biggest thing in the game. The biggest thing in the game isn't getting good at, just fucking skinning monsters, not getting good at picking selections at the fucking cat chef. It's getting good at not getting hit while you're murdering face, alright? So that's what you need to work on. Don't worry about working on your gear. That'll come. Find a monster that you like. Find a monster that you're like, fighting this thing's fun. I like this thing as a monster, and I like its mechanics. And then just fucking fight that thing. And, as much as you feel like it. And then maybe move on. Just fight monsters. Worry about fighting monsters. Don't worry about, well, I need 100,000 potions. Hey. I mean, you do need potions, but at the beginning, you're gonna largely have enough stuff. With pretty easy access to it. You don't, farming potions ain't the worst thing in the world. It's pretty simple, man. But what you do need to be worried about is how much a monster breaks on your head, instead of how much you have to be farming for anything, or how much, the fucking the multiplier works, or how your cat farm's doing, or whether or not your cat companion's a thief or not, or I don't know if you can have cat companion thieves. If you can, that is one recommendation. If you can get your cat companion to steal things off of boss monsters, definitely do that, because your cat companion can steal the 1% item, the 0.5% item off the boss monster that makes it the super good item, that makes you the weapon. So if you can have thief cats, only have thief cats. I mean, you don't have to. That's what I did. I could have thief cats in Monster Hunter 4. And I don't know. I think my cat stole shit in Monster Hunter 3. I'm pretty sure he did. I think that was a thing. Like I said, it was a long time ago. And a long time and a pretty hard knock to the head ago. I'm pretty sure that had a thief cat. No. I had those 2 little acorn tribal dudes. They also stole shit for me, though. One of them had the ninja mask. I remember now. Yeah, one of them had the ninja mask, and he stole stuff for me. If you can get your companion to steal shit for you, have him steal shit for you. That'll reduce the amount of farming you have to do by a lot. But you don't have to do any farming if you don't want to. You just have to get a weapon up to the, green sharpness is useful for a long time. If you get blue, that's useful for a really long time. You can do a lot of monsters with the blue sharpness. So, start off with a green sharpness weapon. Then worry about a blue sharpness weapon of any kind. And then, if you get to the point where your blue sharpness weapon is of no longer any value to you, then, at that point, get deeper into the game. That's when you put on the scuba gear and you go deep, because it's motherfucking time to rumble and shit. You're gonna be getting up in a motherfucker. That is the time. When you start running your weapons out, worry about it. I think yellow weapons would be fine. When you run out of a yellow weapon, I think you're already deep enough into the game. Maybe. I don't remember exactly when you run out of yellow weapons. Because I get out of yellow weapons inside of a day. I just run and I just fuck monsters up. They're like, hey, what's going on? And it's like, I walk in like the sheriff. Clung, clung, clung. I done hunted monsters. And that's the thing for any monster hunter. Once you get good enough, you'll be like, what? Early game? What? First 3 quest things? What? Like, a matter of hours? What? Because these monsters ain't shit? What? And then, you'll get up higher, and then it'll start offering you more challenges. But when you get experienced enough, I've seen people fighting these monsters that I don't even really consider threats. I just walk up on them and like, hey, son, you got a pretty mouth. And they're like, what? And the thing is, when that's the case, don't try not to criticize the game. When there's somebody out there when there's not just somebody, there's a large populace of the game who already exist in their millions, in their, who knows, tens of millions around the world, who walk up on monsters like, squeal like a pig for me. And then they're like, sweet! They do some creepy shit to fucking oversized lizards, 10 minutes. I was watching this dude fight a monster, it took him half an hour. And it's just because he was getting shitted on, man. Like I said, if you worry about getting good at fighting monsters and the monsters stop shitting on your face, you're going to start clearing missions faster. Why? Because your damage output goes up a lot. Why? Because the monsters stop tail slapping you in the face or dick punching you when you're going through the air. Which means you've started maximizing your combos, which means your damage output increases dramatically, which means you start clearing monsters faster and faster and faster and faster. And so eventually you run into monsters. They throw bosses that I've seen people fight as a boss that aren't even a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, yeah, I hate it when they throw that at me as a side monster in a real fight. And I'm not trying to say anything like fuck you guys. It's just there's another level there, guys. This is like it's like martial arts. You know, everybody in their son and their dog and their father and their fucking grandpa, you know, thinks they got a Bruce Lee kick from fucking, you know, Satan himself, right? Well, the thing about that is most of them are wrong. And there's only like a few hundred people in the top organizations in the world. You know, a few thousand. There's not that many people fighting it at this level that everybody claims to be fighting at. But if you claim to be fighting at that level and then seek to criticize a game, you better be fighting at that level, because anyone who is can look at you. Look at the way you play for a few seconds and be like, ah, scrub. And it's critical in Monster Hunter to criticizing the game to have this skill level, because you need it to make it to the end of the game. You need it to be able to, you know, complete the story. I'm not gonna say you need it. It helps when farming monsters. It helps a lot when farming. It actually helps a bunch when farming monsters. It is the one thing that will take your game from the super grind where you're like, I spent 3 hours fighting monsters. And, it'll take the boss that makes you, you know, takes you fucking 50 minutes to kill it. It'll take you 15. Why? Because every time he knocked you down before and fucked you up, you dodged, and then you exploited his mistake, and you started shitting on him. You mounted his back, and you got him down, and you bricked him in the face. You got a bunch of... Whereas before, he just bricked in your face, you just got a bunch... You started getting knockdowns. A bunch of them. And that's what helps, is you get good not only at evading the monster's attacks, but at exploiting the monster's weaknesses and its patterns, and the locations, and everything else, so that you are not the monster hunter hunting monsters. You are the monster hunter. The monster is you. Everything else is being hunted. And that is what you ideally will develop to. I hope this helps some of you answer questions, stuff you have in your mind. There is a storyline. There is alternatives to these things that maybe people are telling you, maybe you're assuming. I don't know how you're getting these conclusions. There's alternatives to all this farming. There's alternatives to, you know, all of this grinding, all of this supposed misery. You don't need it if you know, get good enough and just focus. If you focus on getting good enough. And, you know, it sounds harsh to say get good, but I don't have really anything else I can tell you. This isn't a game where people can hold your hands. It is if you do group quests. But if you want to whack that fucker by yourself, and he ain't, I mean, he's fun, but he ain't shit. You got to, man. You got to, you know, Blue Rathian, Blue Rathalos, Pink Rathian. They're fun, but if you want to fight them by yourself, you're going to have to get good at fighting monsters. Pink Rathian's actually a straight motherfucker. I don't find Rathalos of any form to be much of a threat. And that's the difference, is you have to, if you want to do it by yourself, man, you got, like I've said in many videos, you have to confront the dragon in its lair and punch it in the face. You have to go find the Ivory Lagarcus. I don't think they've put Lagarcus in anything since 3. You have to go find the Rathian, man. You have to go find Rathian and kill it. And that's actually a monster I would recommend fighting. If you want to fight a monster that gives you a good, like, decently high enough watermark to, like, train you for higher level monsters,